A healthy mind has many signs that many of us may be familiar with. For example, feeling satisfied with life, hope for the future, proper communication with the people around us, feeling good about our job and identity, as well as the necessary skills to cope with failure and problems we face in life. Also, many of us may notice problematic or unhealthy behaviors in ourselves or those around us, such as moodiness, lack of job satisfaction, negative beliefs about ourselves and those around us, and so on. The existence of mental and behavioral problems in humans throughout history has made a part of psychological science to explain the process of becoming unhealthy and find ways to treat and improve it. Since psychological theories are different, the process of mental damage is also explained variously in each of them. As a result, each of these theories has examined psychological injuries in a different way. In psychology, three main currents try to explain the way of mental damage, which are psychoanalysis, behaviorism, and humanism currents. Through the process of psychoanalysis, it is believed that a person's childhood is very important in the formation of his personality and current behaviors. Life is full of worries and conflicts for us from the very beginning, and we try to deal with these conflicts since childhood. As a result, we show behaviors that reduce our anxiety. We call these behaviors psychological defenses, such as denying problems, or blaming others, or even joking about problems. With the passage of time and facing the realities of life, these resistances or defenses, which used to be useful for us in childhood, remain intact in us without our knowledge, and depict life to us in the same anxious and worrying way as before. As a result, this time around, instead of solving our problems, they will make the situation more complicated and leave them unsolved. In psychoanalysis, the treatment process is done by confronting people with their own defenses and their consequences. This way, the person's past and his repressed desires in relation to others from childhood until now become the key to the formation of their incompatible defenses, and the treatment occurs when the person puts their defenses aside and becomes aware of their unconscious desires and wishes. In the behaviorism current, it was believed that it is our learned behaviors and beliefs that make our worldview full of failure and inconsistency. This current started with behaviorism at first, in such a way that some psychologists believed that the living environment can shape a person's behavior and that the genetic and hereditary characteristics do not make such a difference. As a result, they tried to improve human behavior by changing their living environment. For example, by conditioning a person, they could reduce a series of incompatible behaviors and replace them with better ones. After this period, they realized that a person's way of thinking and beliefs about himself and the surrounding world can have a great impact on his failures and unhappiness. Accordingly, the cognitive part was added to this current to familiarize people with their negative views. In such a manner, later, when they are talked to with rational reasons, they will realize that they are making a mistake, and they can get a different and more logical view of life in order to feel better. It was after this time that behaviorism was introduced as the cognitive behavioral approach. In behaviorism, the person's past is not so important, and instead, their way of thinking and behavior is the main subject of analysis. Practice and learning, on the one hand, and logical reasoning, on the other, are the two main pillars of therapy in this process. In the humanist current, the uniqueness of each person and their power in choosing their lifestyle is an effective factor that makes people love themselves and feel that they don't need to try to be like others. That is, as soon as they are in balance with themselves, they experience a much more fruitful and healthy life. By listening deeply to people, humanistic psychologists try to confront them with their conflicts of meaning and purpose in life, and reassure them that they are unconditionally lovable and valuable, and that they can pursue the meaning they create for their lives. In humanism, the main issue is the person's understanding of themselves and the meaning they create for their life. As a result, unlike the previous two currents, in this approach, mankind is recognized as a being with free will. Their life is not a victim of fate. This way, the treatment happens automatically by unconditionally accepting the emotions and desires of the person and understanding their mental life. Each of the mentioned therapeutical currents had its own techniques. For example, some used more education and learning, such as behaviorism, and some used questions and answers, and sometimes more strange methods were used, such as psychoanalysis, for example, provoking the client's anger so that they could access deeper layers of feelings and thoughts. The point to consider is that all these currents are still used in psychotherapy, and none of them have been eliminated with the arrival of newer approaches, but they have made the previous currents more complete. Eventually, all these psychotherapies end in one concept, and that is having a healthy mind in the absence of conflicts with ourselves and the people around us, which makes our lives more fruitful and prosperous as we get closer to our unique characteristics.